So offensive coordinator Tommy Rees on the areas that Shedeur has improved on, that what showed against the Titans?
I thought he did a really nice job of moving in the pocket, stepping up in the pocket. He had some opportunities to step up and attack the defense, whether it was throwing the ball on the move. We hit Harold on a good one there in 2 minutes, and we're climbing in the pocket and finding Jerry on the in cut, or climbing in the pocket and running when it needs be. I thought those are signs of improvement in those areas. I thought operationally we were clean, and that's what you're after with all your players, specifically the young guys, are the things that you're trying to ask them to do, and are the things that you're focused on being accomplished. And credit to him, and credit to Coach Muss for continuing to get him ready to play.
So two things. There's 3 or 4, sometimes 5 throws where you go, all right, that is an elite NFL starter throw. And the other thing is, I think what you're going to see, just because of what we've seen from him, he'll figure out when to pick his spots a little bit better to take those chances. And the second quarter of a tight game isn't a great one. In maybe fourth quarter, you save that for when you really need to do it. And he even kind of alluded to the fact he'll figure that out.
Yeah, and I think that's a little bit of where maybe his experience in college didn't necessarily help him the way he needed to. Colorado either won games and they won big, or they were either trailing it by double digits. So I think Sunday was more of a game where he just kind of felt in flow, and I think it was even more impressive that he had the lead. The lead got away from him, and basically had them within striking distance to either contend to get the lead again, or at least tie the game. Another thing that was impressive was his work with Dylan Sampson, late in the game, because Dylan Sampson by far was not the first option. He wasn't the second option, probably wasn't even the third option. So that shows again, that he is working, basically the route tree. He is working the overall play and understanding, oh, hey, they're going to take away the big throws. They're going to take away Jerry Jeudy on the deep route. They're starting to get a little comfortable and understand we maybe got to start really putting some effort into covering Harold Fannin. But you saw that there was a way, between he and Dylan Sampson that really sparked, some big chunk plays over the middle, understanding that basically the defense was fanning out and just basically had Dylan Sampson running these Texas routes where you challenge the outside and just basically cut back to the middle. It was really an impressive overall performance for Shedeur Sanders. And the thing that, another thing that you just come away with is everybody was involved: wide receivers, tight ends, backs, and the ability to use his legs. There's not much more you could have asked for from him in a game like that.
All right, so along those lines, this is the most passing yardage games by a rookie this year, and Shedeur Sanders tops the list. Jackson Dart 283, so almost 100 yards better than the closest one. Tyler Shough 282, and Cam Ward, the number 1 overall pick, 265. So again, those are it's impressive. Let's see what happens. This week's this is going to be a huge test, because this is a defense that just takes the ball away from everyone.
Yeah, and there was some backlash, I think, towards Shedeur for those numbers. Oh, well, these other teams. I mean, the Giants haven't won many games, so obviously there was plenty of mop-up duty. The Titans and the Saints have not won many games, so there certainly was opportunity to pad your stats and mop-up duty. And this is where the Shedeur Sanders coverage kind of, it just seems so hard to find somebody just going middle of the road with it. I mean, we all know, obviously, that he has his backers, and apparently there still are some naysayers. Can we just get some middle of the road, honest, critiques of him? This is going to be an interesting matchup, no question. When you're talking, negative 13 degrees, wind chill, Chicago, this is going to be tough. You know what I'm saying? But in retrospect, if he's going to be the guy for this team, there's going to be games down the line where nobody's going to care what the weather is. It's going to be the same for whatever quarterback is opposing him that day. You got to find a way to, go out and make your way through it. But I think the impressive thing for him will be contending against this team that turns the ball over as much as the Chicago Bears defense does. And, how do you play that? Do you hold on to it too long? Do you maybe get a little gun shy to throw a ball because these guys have great takeaway ability? That's going to be one of the things I'm looking for Shedeur in this matchup. A, how do you handle the elements? And B, are you nervous going against a defense with such a propensity of taking the ball away?
And I would say the other thing is just sit there, let them learn, and don't go too crazy one way or another. If either happens, if he plays really well, great, it's another step. If he plays not as well, all right, you need to get a little bit better at that.